Capricorn, stop scrolling for a second and take this in, because this message is not random. It was sent to find you at this exact moment. Something powerful has been released into your atmosphere, and your name is written all over it. Before we go deeper, type, "I receive it," in the comments, like this video, and subscribe right now, not for vanity, but because the energy of agreement multiplies manifestation. When you align with what carries your frequency, you activate what's already waiting for you. This message will not only speak to you, it will unlock what's been spiritually delayed. Listen carefully. There's a mysterious transaction happening in the unseen realms, a divine transfer. The kind of shift that moves resources, favor, and opportunities from one name to another. And your name, Capricorn, has just been called. The system of heaven is reassigning wealth, not just money, but influence, access, and restoration. The very things that once seemed unreachable are about to find you, as if they've been searching for your address. That's why lately you've been feeling pressure, isolation, even exhaustion. It's not punishment. It's a spiritual reset, heaven reorganizing your destiny. Wealth doesn't simply appear, it's transferred. Look through history and you'll see it. Divine exchanges always happen after seasons of testing. Joseph understood that. One night he was forgotten in a prison cell. The next morning he was summoned to interpret Pharaoh's dream, and by sunset he was governor over all Egypt. That wasn't luck. That was a divine handover. His obedience in obscurity was the password that unlocked his treasury. And you, Capricorn, have been walking through your own silent test, misunderstood, overworked, under-celebrated. You kept giving your best when no one clapped. You kept helping people who later pretended not to know your worth. But the record of your patience has been uploaded to heaven's system, and the time of reward has started to unfold. You've been noticing little things, random money showing up, a call from someone who once ignored you, a forgotten debt being repaid. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. The energy of restoration is beginning to locate your signature. The spiritual transfer doesn't begin with a deposit, it begins with recognition. Heaven identifies who has passed the test of integrity in lack, and Capricorn, you did. That's why this season feels strange. It's the atmosphere shifting around you to make space for your increase. Think about Oprah Winfrey. She was once fired from her first job because they said she wasn't fit for television. They told her she was too emotional, too raw, too different. What they didn't know was that heaven had already written her name next to media empire. Her firing wasn't a failure, it was the transfer point. When God closes one door, it's often because he has already moved your table to a higher room. Some of you have lost positions, clients, or relationships recently. You thought it was the end, but the divine system doesn't subtract, it reallocates. The same principle applies in the natural world. During the chaos of Europe's financial crises centuries ago, the Rothschild family saw opportunity where others saw collapse. They positioned themselves not in fear, but in foresight. And what happened? Wealth shifted, not because they created it, but because they were prepared to handle it. Capricorn, preparation has been your secret training. Your struggles weren't punishment, they were divine proof of capacity. Heaven doesn't trust abundance to those who complain about little. It releases overflow to those who remain faithful when nothing seems to work. You've been asking why doors are opening slowly, why people you once relied on are now quiet. It's because the old circle can't sustain the vibration of where you're going. Every divine transfer demands separation before elevation. Think of David tending sheep while his brothers stood in line to be anointed. They had armor, status, and confidence, but heaven's oil refused them. It flowed only when David appeared, because the oil recognizes obedience, not appearance. Some of you watching this have felt invisible, yet something within you has refused to give up. You are David in disguise. The anointing was always looking for you. There's a reason you've been seeing repeating numbers, hearing the same song, or feeling like time is speeding up. You're being synced with divine timing. Every blessing has a timestamp, and yours is now flashing green. When heaven's economy moves, it doesn't just release money, it realigns moments, people, and even emotions to guide you into position. That's why certain things that once excited you no longer hold your attention. You're not distracted, you're being refined. Your focus is being recalibrated to detect the vibration of abundance. Let me tell you a story most people don't know. In 1929, the world collapsed into the Great Depression, Yet while millions lost everything, a few people gained wealth beyond imagination. Why? They didn't panic when others did. They positioned themselves for what was coming. It's the same spiritual law that governs the divine transfer. When others are in confusion, those who are anchored in faith receive acceleration. Capricorn, heaven is placing you in a moment like that. What others call a setback will be your setup. What looks like chaos is actually the shaking that releases hidden treasures. You might not feel wealthy right now, but the signs are already around you. The delays you experienced were not denials, they were divine interest accumulating. Each no you faced was actually heaven saying, "Not yet, your rate of return is increasing." Think of it like a spiritual investment account. Every tear you've cried, every silent night you stayed faithful, every time you gave when you barely had, those were deposits. And now the account is maturing. The divine transfer doesn't arrive in one wave. It unfolds in layers, aligning your outer world with your inner readiness. When the Israelites left Egypt, they didn't leave empty-handed. The Bible says they carried silver and gold wealth that was transferred to them after generations of slavery. The same Pharaoh who oppressed them ended up sponsoring their exit. That's how divine transfers operate. The very system that tried to drain you will be the one that funds your freedom. The same people who underestimated you will one day say, "I always knew you'd make it." But heaven keeps receipts, Capricorn, and this time, the tables are turning in your favor. You've been dreaming of strange places lately, old houses, flowing water, distant faces. That's not random. In dreams, water often represents flow, and houses symbolize identity. You're being shown that the flow of abundance is returning to your spiritual home. Something that was locked away in your name, maybe an opportunity, inheritance, or long-forgotten promise, is being reopened. But before it manifests physically, your mind must first agree that you're worthy of it. The divine transfer responds to consciousness, not desperation. It moves through confidence, not begging. Realize this: when you stop chasing what's not yours, what belongs to you starts chasing you. That's the secret most people miss. The divine transfer doesn't require striving, it requires alignment. Think of Elon Musk when Tesla was on the brink of collapse. He had one final million left, and he risked all of it on faith. Investors laughed, analysts mocked, but he stayed in position. Within weeks, funding came. Was it coincidence? No, that was the principle of divine convergence. Heaven rewards radical belief. You Capricorn are standing in the same energy. You've been faithful through silence, consistent through confusion. And now the spiritual balance is tipping in your favor. This is not a prediction, it's a confirmation. Heaven has finished auditing your season of lack, and the payout is being processed. But here's the mystery: the divine transfer doesn't just deliver money, it delivers responsibility. You are being called to steward abundance with purpose, not vanity. That's why the weight feels heavy. You're not being delayed, you're being prepared to carry what others dropped. Do you notice how lately you've been losing interest in gossip, chaos, or shallow conversations? It's not because you've changed, it's because your frequency has. You're rising, your energy is too expensive for meaningless connections. When heaven increases your value, it first isolates you so you don't waste your oil. That isolation has been misunderstood as loneliness. But in truth, you're being protected from contamination. The divine transfer flows only in purified channels. Think about it: diamonds form under pressure, not comfort. Gold is refined in fire, not celebration. The divine transfer always finds those who endured the fire without losing their faith. You have been the diamond in hiding, the gold under ashes. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every night you felt forgotten, it was heaven polishing your name. That's why this message had to reach you. Because just as Joseph woke up one morning unaware he'd meet Pharaoh, you're waking up today unaware that a new opportunity is already speaking your name in rooms you've never entered. History repeats itself in divine patterns. During the California gold rush, thousands rushed blindly toward the promise of riches, but only those who discerned the signs found true wealth. The ones who studied the earth, who listened to subtle shifts in the ground, became legends. It wasn't luck, it was discernment. Capricorn, discernment is your compass now. Stop running after everything shiny, listen for what glows in silence, because your divine transfer won't come in noise, it'll come in peace. The real wealth won't shout, it'll whisper. Right now you may not see it, but the numbers are shifting. The algorithms of life, destiny, and energy are recalculating to deliver what's yours. Some of you will receive unexpected messages, someone apologizing, a forgotten payment, a contract revived. Others will notice peace replacing anxiety. That's the first sign. When heaven's transfer begins, it brings calm before cash, stillness before success. The system must stabilize you before it blesses you. Because abundance without alignment is disaster. So don't panic when things slow down. That's the divine loading screen. Every miracle takes time to download, and you're at 99%. The progress bar may seem stuck, but what's happening behind the scenes is massive. Heaven is not late, it's strategic. Your next season isn't being built around your needs, it's being built around your influence. You are not meant to receive just for survival. You're meant to overflow, to impact, to fund something greater than yourself. And even now, someone somewhere is speaking your name in favor. You can't see it yet, but the spiritual notification has already been sent. Heaven has pressed deliver. What's unfolding is not a coincidence, it's divine logistics. The money flow is unlocking, and your name is on the transfer. But what happens next will test what you've become through waiting. Capricorn, listen closely, because the air around you is changing. You can almost feel it, the way time slows when destiny draws near. The transfer that began in the unseen has now located its target, and that target is you. But before it fully arrives, something deeper must awaken inside you, because divine wealth is not attracted to confusion, it's magnetized by identity. And your name, Capricorn, carries a vibration that heaven recognizes. So before anything manifests in your bank account, it first manifests in your name. Type, I claim my name in the comments, because this next revelation will begin to activate the divine code written in your spirit. In the ancient world, names weren't given at random, they were prophecies. Your name was your direction, your authority, your map. When God changed Abram's name to Abraham, he didn't just alter a sound, he expanded a destiny. Suddenly, Abraham's words, steps, and even his silence began aligning with the promise of nations. And that's exactly what's happening with you, Capricorn. Heaven is rewriting how your name echoes in the spirit. Every time you've been called broke, unlucky, or forgotten, that vibration attached itself to your destiny like dust on gold. But now, the divine wind is blowing that dust away. Think about Florence Scovel Shinn, the woman who declared that your word is your wand. She understood that every name, every phrase we speak, becomes a spell, not the dark kind, but the creative kind. When she began teaching this in the early 1900s, people mocked her, said she was delusional. But those same people came back years later, testifying that their lives had changed once they changed their words. One woman wrote her name on a blank check and began affirming abundance every day. Within months, she received an inheritance she never knew existed. That's what happens when you align your speech with your divine name. Names are more than labels, they are codes in the universe's database. Even technology knows this. Algorithms on social media track your name, your energy, your patterns. They know who you are, what you want, and where to deliver your attention. Heaven works similarly. It monitors your words, your thoughts, your faith patterns. It sees when you declare, I am ready, even when your circumstances scream otherwise. That declaration sends a frequency through the unseen, summoning what's meant for you. You think it's a coincidence that lately, random blessings, small wins, or familiar faces have started showing up again. No, that's your name being reactivated. Jim Carrey once told a story about how he was broke, desperate, and invisible in Hollywood. So he wrote himself a check for $10 million, dated it 5 years into the future, and carried it in his wallet. He spoke to that check as if it already belonged to him. By the time the date arrived, his first big movie deal paid him exactly that amount. His check was never a wish, it was a declaration written in the ink of faith. Capricorn, your divine transfer works the same way. It's not waiting on luck, it's waiting on recognition. The moment you acknowledge your worth, everything attached to your name starts to reorganize around it. Some of you have been struggling with the feeling that your name is invisible. You post, you create, you give, but people overlook you. Yet what you don't see is that heaven has been rebranding your name. Before wealth can follow you, your name must be purified from false associations. The world saw Abram, heaven saw Abraham. The world saw Simon, heaven saw Peter. The world saw Saul, heaven saw Paul. These transformations weren't cosmetic, they were divine transactions. Each time, a name was rewritten to carry a new spiritual barcode. David was anointed long before he ever sat on the throne. The oil recognized his name before the crown did. The same is true for you. Your anointing has been active long before people recognized it. Some of you have been praying for visibility, but heaven has been hiding you on purpose, protecting your oil from contamination. Because when the transfer begins, not everyone who clapped for you can handle your elevation. Some people only celebrated you when you were quiet, manageable, and small. But your new name, Capricorn, carries authority, and authority always reveals loyalty. You may think the waiting season was a delay, but it was really a divine recalibration. Heaven doesn't rush identity, it refines it. There's a biblical mystery hidden in the story of Jacob. He wrestled all night with an angel demanding a blessing. But when morning came, the angel didn't hand him gold or cattle. He gave him a new name, Israel, because the greatest transfer heaven can give you is not money, it's identity. Once your name shifts, everything else follows. Some of you are wrestling right now with fear, uncertainty, loneliness, but that's your transformation in progress. You're not losing, you're being renamed. You've probably felt the strange urge to change your online name, business name, or even the way you sign messages. That's not random. It's your spirit signaling alignment. Every major rebirth begins with a new signature. Even history proves this. When the painter Pablo Ruiz wanted to step into global recognition, he took on the name Picasso, and the world shifted. His art didn't suddenly improve overnight. His vibration did. His name began to carry a frequency that drew attention, favor, and legacy. You, too, are standing at that moment. Heaven is not changing who you are, it's amplifying who you've always been. This is why lately you've been misunderstood or even isolated. Some people can't pronounce your spiritual name anymore because their vibration no longer matches yours. They call you distant, cold, changed, but in reality, you've outgrown their version of you. That disconnection isn't loss, it's confirmation. The divine transfer never moves through stagnation, it moves through separation. Just as a butterfly cannot explain its wings to a caterpillar, you can't explain this metamorphosis to those still crawling. Now think of how the entertainment world mirrors this truth. Beyoncé didn't become who she is just by singing, she created Sasha Fierce, a name that represented her higher self. That alter name unlocked confidence, creativity, and power that existed inside her all along. She didn't become a new person, she activated her divine identity. You're being called to do the same. There's a version of you waiting to emerge, bold, wise, wealthy, and unstoppable. And once you accept that version, everything withheld from your old name will begin rushing toward your new one. Capricorn, have you noticed how your intuition has been sharper, how you can sense when something's off even before it happens? That's because your spiritual network is online. You're not guessing, you're receiving data from heaven. Every download is preparing you for the full activation of your divine transfer. But here's the secret. Heaven doesn't send wealth to confusion. It sends it to those who know who they are. So every revelation you've been getting, every idea, every dream, every gut feeling is part of the code being revealed. Even in business, identity governs transaction. Banks don't release funds without verifying your name. The divine economy works the same way. The transfer can't hit a confused address. That's why you've been pulled into solitude. Heaven's been verifying your spiritual signature. It's removing the fraudulent labels, failure, insufficient, average, and restoring your divine account. And once verification is complete, release is inevitable. Remember this biblical moment. Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say I am?" And when Peter answered correctly, "You are the Christ," Jesus replied, "Upon this rock I will build my church." Notice what happened. Identity unlocked authority. The revelation of a name became the foundation of a kingdom. The same pattern is playing out in your life. Heaven has been asking you silently, "Who do you believe you are?" Because the moment you answer correctly, your own foundation strengthens. And it's not only ancient stories that prove this. Consider how history remembers those who redefine their identities. Malcolm Little became Malcolm X, a name that erased the identity forced upon him by a system that tried to suppress him. That name became his revolution. Likewise, Muhammad Ali abandoned Cassius Clay because he said it was his slave name. He declared his new one boldly, and the world shook. Every time he said, "I am the greatest," he wasn't boasting, he was affirming a divine truth. The universe began responding to his declaration until reality caught up with his words. Capricorn, your words are powerful beyond measure. When you say, I am blessed, heaven records it. When you whisper, I am ready, doors begin to adjust. When you declare, I receive it, systems in the unseen start rerouting wealth and favor to your name. It's not superstition, it's divine technology. The spoken word is the oldest currency of creation. That's why your name carries energy. It's written with the ink of your purpose. And right now, heaven's ledger is glowing with your signature. Lately, you've been feeling waves of nostalgia, thinking about childhood dreams, forgotten hobbies, or old desires. That's heaven's way of reminding you of the version of yourself that still believes. Because before the divine transfer hits your life, your inner child, your original self, must awaken. That's the part of you that never doubted, never feared, never stopped expecting miracles. Your name was pure then, untouched by disappointment. Heaven is calling that version forward again because innocence attracts abundance. Even science agrees, words and identity change physical reality. In Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiments, molecules shifted structure depending on the words spoken over them. Love created perfect symmetry, hate created distortion. You Capricorn are made of mostly water. Do you see the connection? When you speak kindness, belief, and gratitude over yourself, you reprogram your molecular structure for wealth and healing. That's why this season requires you to be intentional with every word, because your mouth is writing the code of your next miracle. Some of you have been waking up at odd hours, 3:33, 4:44, 5:55, and wondering why. Those are alignment timestamps. Heaven is syncing your vibration with divine timing. Each number carries a frequency of completion, manifestation, and grace. It's not numerology, it's spiritual mathematics. The universe is confirming that your name has been entered into the system of release, and every time you acknowledge it with gratitude, you accelerate the process. Capricorn, type, my name is ready in the comments, not just as words, but as a declaration, because the divine transfer responds to active faith, not passive belief. The same way banks require a signature, heaven requires confession. Each time you speak it, the spiritual paperwork moves faster. Remember the widow in the Bible who had only a small jar of oil? The prophet told her to borrow vessels and pour. She obeyed, and the oil multiplied. But notice, the oil didn't flow until she started pouring. Heaven could have filled the jars instantly, but obedience activated the transfer. Her name was rewritten from poor widow to woman of abundance. That's how quickly identity shifts when faith meets instruction. You've been given your instruction, speak your name, pour your belief, stay aligned. The oil is waiting for your action. Do you know what's strange? The people who once laughed at your dreams will soon quote your words. They'll use your name as an example. They'll say, I knew them when they had nothing. But what they won't understand is that even then, you had everything because your name was already wealthy. You carried the frequency of prosperity long before it became visible. You were already chosen while others were still competing. This is the era when heaven rewards those who believed in silence. You're not being introduced, you're being remembered. The divine transfer isn't discovering you, it's reactivating your original file. You're not starting new, you're continuing what was always meant to be. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was heaven reorganizing your timeline so your name would appear at the perfect moment. You can feel it, can't you? The air around you is charged. Something invisible is shifting, like the stillness before a great announcement. And just like Joseph's name echoed through Pharaoh's court long before he walked into the room, your name is being mentioned right now in places you've never stepped foot in. Opportunities, contracts, and favors are rehearsing your name in boardrooms, inboxes, and hearts. You may not hear it yet, but heaven's frequency is already broadcasting it. Capricorn, take a deep breath. Something ancient and powerful just awakened within you. Your name is no longer a word, it's a key. And that key is about to open doors no human hand could unlock. But what happens when the door finally opens is something you're not yet ready to imagine. Capricorn, the air is thick with anticipation, as if the universe itself is holding its breath, waiting for your next move. The divine transfer has located your signature, your energy, your frequency, and it is aligning every piece of your life to respond. But this is not about luck, timing, or coincidence. It is about obedience, readiness, and recognition. Comment, I am ready to receive right now, because speaking that activates your spiritual account. Like this video and subscribe, because your engagement is the signal to heaven that you are conscious, aligned, and prepared to act. Look at Peter. After a night of fruitless labor, empty nets, and exhaustion, one word from Jesus turned everything upside down. "Cast your net again," he said, and the boat was so full it began to sink. That was a divine transfer waiting on obedience. The blessing had been there all along. Peter just had to trust the instruction. Capricorn, you've been toiling, pushing, working hard, and sometimes wondering why your efforts produce little. But your miracle, your breakthrough, has been waiting on a divine signal. The universe is now saying, "Cast again." Think about Elon Musk, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, investing his last million in Tesla while the world doubted him. The failure seemed imminent, yet the transfer of fortune, reputation, and influence was just one aligned action away. Heaven always moves like this. Favor doesn't chase you. It waits until your position, your readiness, and your identity are fully synchronized. Capricorn, this is your moment of synchronization. Every struggle, every sleepless night, every rejection was programming you for this exact alignment. Your energy has been recalibrated. The doors that once felt closed, locked, or invisible are now vibrating in your favor. You've been tested in patience, integrity, and vision. Those tests weren't punishments, they were confirmations that you could carry the weight of what's coming. The divine system never entrusts abundance to impatience or chaos. You've been proven capable, and now the transfer is moving. Invisible hands are rerouting resources, people, and circumstances toward your name. The quiet moments, the overlooked opportunities, the delayed payments, all were notes in a divine ledger, signaling that your account is about to be credited. Consider the widow in the Bible who had only a small jar of oil. The prophet told her to pour into empty vessels, and as she obeyed, the oil multiplied beyond imagination. She didn't hoard, she released, and in release the miracle happened. Your gifts, talents, and resources are your oil, Capricorn. Every act of faith, every bit of persistence, every kind word, and every effort done in alignment is now a vessel ready to overflow. Heaven multiplies what is given, not hoarded. Even modern history mirrors this principle. During the California gold rush, gold was everywhere, but only those prepared to recognize it, extract it, and use it became wealthy. Thousands missed it, and thousands starved. Your spiritual senses, intuition, and discernment are the maps to your gold. The transfer doesn't happen for the distracted or those chasing every shiny thing. It comes to the alert, the obedient, the faithful. That's why your instincts have been heightened lately. The subtle nudges, the recurring dreams, the sudden clarity, they are your compass pointing to the transfer. Notice the alignment happening in your network. People who once ignored you, doubted you, or undervalued you are beginning to move differently. Doors you didn't know existed are swinging open. Opportunities that seemed accidental are actually calculated placements. Heaven is orchestrating a convergence where timing, action, and readiness collide. Every detail, no matter how small, is significant, a cosmic blueprint being executed in real time. Historical figures understood this intuitively. Abraham Lincoln faced loss, defeat, and derision for decades before leading a nation. He could have given up, yet he remained aligned with his destiny, and when the time came, the transfer of leadership, influence, and legacy was undeniable. Your breakthrough works the same way, Capricorn. The world may not recognize it yet, but the unseen has already acknowledged your position. You are being positioned for visibility, abundance, and impact. There is a spiritual code you are activating now, a sequence of faith, obedience, declaration, and alignment. Each is a digit in the key that unlocks your transfer. Ignore even one and the flow delays. Embrace all and the invisible becomes visible. Your actions, words, and thoughts are not isolated. They are the programming language of the universe. This is why every small choice, every deliberate declaration, every act of alignment is critical. The system is precise, and your consistency is confirming your readiness. Capricorn, your patience has been tested in ways few can understand. You've endured financial delays, personal betrayals, health setbacks, and silent seasons. Yet every hardship has been a refining fire, sharpening your spiritual senses, strengthening your resolve, and proving that you can handle the fullness of the transfer. Just as Joseph didn't become Egypt's governor overnight, and just as Elon Musk didn't receive Tesla's windfall without near-bankruptcy trials, you too have been trained. The transfer waits not on your luck, but on your demonstration of readiness. Even celebrities whose names are synonymous with fortune understand this principle. Oprah Winfrey's career seemed impossible after being told she wasn't fit for television. She didn't chase validation, she followed alignment. That alignment led to a network, influence, and wealth beyond imagination. The divine transfer doesn't work through approval or recognition, it works through faithful alignment. Capricorn, you are stepping into that same process. The forces once hidden are now visible, yet you must move with the consciousness of one whose transfer has already arrived. Your talents, skills, and ideas are the vessels of your transfer. Heaven will multiply what you use, not what you hide. If you've been fearful, hesitant, or cautious, now is the time to act. Take bold steps where you've hesitated. Speak the words that feel risky. Move in directions that the mind questions but the spirit affirms. Each action is a code activation. Each obedience is a signal that you are ready to claim the unseen, and each declaration is a deposit into your spiritual account. Prophetic insight. Within the next days, some of you will receive a call, a message, an approval, or an unexpected money flow. Some will be shocked at the timing, some at the source. Do not doubt, the transfer is real and it is personalized. Heaven knows your capacity, your name, and your readiness. These blessings will come to those who are spiritually attuned, not distracted by fear or past disappointment. Your task is to recognize it as divine, not random. History shows that those who act first in alignment with divine signs become pioneers. The California Gold Rush, the early innovators of the digital age, the visionaries who capitalized on emerging opportunities, none of them waited for validation. They recognized signals, acted decisively, and claimed the rewards. Capricorn, the signals are before you now. The universe has highlighted your path, yet the steps require action. Obedience opens the floodgates, hesitation delays them. Even the biblical story of the widow who kept pouring oil into vessels demonstrates this. The multiplication was invisible until it became tangible, and it required consistency and faith. Every invisible deposit you've made, your prayers, fasting, declarations, and integrity, is waiting for activation. Heaven's ledger is full, the account is credited. What remains is your readiness to receive and steward what is already yours. You may have noticed moments of synchronicity, a random encounter, a sudden idea, a financial opportunity appearing seemingly from nowhere. These are not coincidences. They are the universe responding to your name, to your alignment, to your readiness. The divine transfer is intelligent, precise, and personal. It knows your schedule, your fears, your gifts, and your capacity. Nothing happens by accident. Every small miracle now is a preview of the larger unfolding that carries your name. Capricorn, the transfer also carries responsibility. Abundance without wisdom is disaster. That's why heaven has refined your judgment, sharpened your discernment, and strengthened your patience. You are being equipped not just to receive, but to manage, multiply, and influence. Wealth in the wrong hands can destroy. In yours, it will build, inspire, and liberate. Your life is being rewritten with a legacy of impact. Think of Abraham Lincoln, Oprah Winfrey, Joseph, Peter, Elon Musk. All received their transfers after seasons of testing, silence, or apparent failure. None of them could have carried their wealth, influence, or anointing without first proving readiness. You are in the same school, Capricorn. Your season of preparation is concluding. What's about to manifest will not only restore what was lost, but will exceed expectation. It will position you to influence, bless, and lead beyond your current imagination. Even now, Capricorn, invisible hands are moving. Contracts are aligning, connections are positioning, funds are flowing, and your energy is syncing with all that is meant to be yours. Those who doubted you will marvel, those who underestimated you will be startled. But the transfer doesn't wait for recognition. It follows readiness. Your name, your spirit, your faith, and your obedience are the coordinates. Follow them precisely, and the release will be undeniable. Capricorn, every delay, every loss, every moment of doubt has been a recalibration of your spiritual GPS. Heaven has been mapping your journey, placing markers, clearing obstacles, and ensuring that when the moment of transfer arrives, you will not stumble. It will be smooth, precise, and almost instantaneous. The energy has shifted. Your name is active in the system. Your intuition will guide you now more than ever. When the call, message, or opportunity comes, you will recognize it, even if it seems unusual, unexpected, or risky. That recognition is your signal to move. Remember the story of Peter's net. It was not the effort that filled it. It was the obedience to the instruction that unlocked abundance. This is your instruction. This is your signal. The transfer will be unlike anything you've experienced. It is designed to overwhelm, not with chaos, but with magnitude. Money, opportunities, influence, and favor will flow in unexpected ways. Some will arrive through people, some through institutions, some through sudden events, and some through your own latent ideas finally manifesting. Heaven has orchestrated the network, and it is calling your name. Your patience, integrity, and consistent faith have positioned you for this. The world may remain unaware, but the unseen is actively working to deliver what was promised long ago. The energy is irreversible. The alignment is precise. The transfer is real. Your name has been written into the ledger of abundance. Capricorn, the magnitude of this release will shock even you. The unseen will become seen. Doors that were locked will open. Debts will be repaid. Opportunities that once felt unreachable will fall into your hands. But as with every great shift, the first stirrings are subtle. You must be alert, responsive, and faithful. The universe has prepared a launchpad, and your next step will trigger the release fully. The winds of change are moving. Your identity has been verified, your name recognized, and the transfer is ready. Every piece of your life, your gifts, your network, your talents, your wisdom, has been calibrated to align with this moment. The unseen currents are stronger now than ever. Your opportunity is imminent, and it is unlike anything the world has ever delivered to a single person so quietly, yet so powerfully. You are standing at the threshold, Capricorn, and the energy around you is vibrating with expectation. Every prayer whispered in secret, every tear shed, every act of faith has brought you here. But what happens the moment the transfer hits? What manifests when heaven fully releases what has your name written all over it, is something that cannot yet be fully imagined. It is bigger than anything you've ever prayed for, yet perfectly designed for your stewardship. And in the stillness, in the invisible stirrings of this very moment, the universe is readying the final alignment. Your name is about to be heard in places you have never been, your impact is about to be undeniable, and the magnitude of what is coming will leave all who know you in awe.